Okay, welcome to another edition of Between Two Nuts. Today I am on with the miraculous one, the ancient one. He is here today. We're going to talk about a little bit about MMORPG, and also we're going to talk about pinball as well, and all the stuff actually. It's just been a wacky few couple of weeks leading up to us actually getting together and scheduling this because we had done this one time before, got everything taken care of, so this is a little second round, but that's totally cool because Ancient One is fantastic. Thanks for coming on, Ancient One.
Well, thank you very much, man, Squirrel.
And we were just talking about how weird things have been.
I know.
It's just everything's been the energy in general has been off, and whether it was the full moon. I kept saying to people, like, is it a full moon out? Because things are a little off. I mean, in real life, things have been kind of weird, and my two of the squirrels had weird stuff that went on this last couple weeks that were just like left field. I was like, what? Like, this has never happened before. But it also translates.
Must be one really strong full moon.
Yeah, and there was a strong. It was a Friday the 13th full moon. And
Yeah.
It's that moment where you're like, oh well, that's fortuitous. But
Pretty much.
it was it's still very interesting. There's a lot of just strangeness, but I'm really glad we finally made it through. We survived, and here we are.
Oh, yeah.
So what we had talked about before, but we can talk about a little bit briefly again, because you know so much information about MMORPGs games, like the evolution of it. So when we had actually reminisced a lot about some of the games we started with, but what got you into online gaming? What was that first game that said, I'm going to play online? I'm not just going to play an RPG, but what was the first game you ever played in an online setting with other players?
That would have to be Everquest.
Ah, mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah. And I pretty much just stick with it for for years.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still been releasing expansion packs to this day.
And yeah, and that's I just finally downloaded everything. I have to go searching now to figure out where they put my characters. What server?
Especially since they had two server merges.
Yes.
Thankfully, I don't think they are ever going to do another server merge again. I would be really shocked if they went for that.
Man, and that's the thing. Like, I'm hoping upon all things holy that I know my characters are still around for sure. It's just a question of figuring out what server they actually put me on. So if I have to contact the customer service just so they can direct me, I'd probably have to do that, because the last time when I got everything brought over, it was a little confusing. And I was like, well, what happened to my character? And what happened to my character's house? You know, those moments.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it was, I started with Everquest also, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was one of the coolest online games. I never played anything like it. And,
Oh, yeah.
And for how long have you, well, I guess you've still continuously played, but how early on in the EverQuest did you start? Like, would you say from the time it rolled out? Would you say it was a couple years after it came out, or many?
I'm cutting it really, really close to 20 years.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the year I started. I think it was in 90, no. Either 99 or 2000. It was the first time that I actually sat down and started really, really playing it. And I thought it was fantastic. I was like, this is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And Runes of Kumark had come out. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And everything in it was this 3D world. And you had so much interaction with other players. Some of the best memories I have of gaming are from Everquest.
Oh, yeah. Especially since EverQuest is pretty much like a group kind of gaming.
Mm-hmm. It really encourages the players especially, to interact with each other and have your guild.
You might need to repeat that. Your voice is acting robotic-like.
Okay. What I was saying was, it really does force players to interact with each other, build guilds, build relationships, have groups you have set up for different questing, I guess, or endeavors, depending on what you're. Sometimes we just go looting. So no real reason, just decided to go out looting. You're like, I really need some extra stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those games that it sticks with you from the first time that you play it, and
Oh yeah.
I know that for a lot of people, like when I was always talking about, I would go to work and I'd talk about EverQuest at work. I'm like, oh my god, this game is amazing, and I would look for that would be like my thing to do after work, because I couldn't go out. I wasn't like a party person, and I didn't go out drinking. I had a small squirrel at home, so I would go on there and just hang out. And after work, I'd get excited because I knew we had like a raid or something, and get on there. We'd all meet up and then just go. And
Oh yeah.
amazing. Some of the best memories. What I guess with EverQuest, what was your most fondest memory playing?
Oh gosh, where do I begin with this? Especially since I'm thinking it would have to be the Lost Dungeons in a Raft because it's really where the competition
Mm-hmm.
it's really where the competition was at its peak until like years later.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And it's one of those games too that does stick with you over the years. And I
Oh
know
yeah.
that I know that EverQuest, or they were talking about. I remember EverQuest 2, and that was and it was amazing.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was everything about the game, from the former, EverQuest we remembered, but like kicking it up a notch. And even though there was like more, the graphics were still being developed, it was so much more. I don't know. The open world just got larger, and the places that
Oh yeah.
the places that we had like originally, like going to Sure Falls or one of those areas, right? Like the Surefall Glade, or one of those areas, even where the knolls are, which is like a beginner area, but I love it over there anyway. But you go over there in this 3D like world to some extent, and you're like, whoa, this is totally different, And I know things are,
Yep.
but it was that more 3D experience and that more immersive environment. And I know you're very big on having the immersive sounds and noises, and
Oh yeah.
just having that experience. Not everyone appreciates that. I think that's what makes a game, not just graphics, but everything with it.
And recently they've actually managed to finally discover how to do ice shading for the upcoming expansion after all these years, considering that they still use the old code on how to pull it off.
Hmm. Wow. So, and that's the thing is like, EverQuest has a lot of similarities to, well, we've discussed this before. Like, we actually had a long discussion about how World of Warcraft ripped off EverQuest. And
Yep.
you can totally see the old system of EverQuest in comparison to World of Warcraft. And it's, and you had said there was a couple developers that left EverQuest and went to World of Warcraft.
Yep, it all started with those two Pacific EverQuest players.
Hmm. And then after that, everything just goes downhill.
Yep.
But EverQuest just had the recent 20th anniversary, and that was pretty amazing. I think.
Oh yeah.
It's one of those things that I didn't fully realize, I guess, because I'm so used to it being there, and it feels like just yesterday that I played. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it really does, and time kind of has flown. So I didn't realize though that it had been so long. And I know they have like they were doing a big celebration, but they had established EverQuest in 1999.
It just feels like, well, it feels like a continuous version of a Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And for people who didn't, like grow up with like tabletop Dungeons and Dragons or
Yep.
RPGs, this was a great introduction to a more immersive experience with RPG. And it was amazing. Like I'd never heard of like this type of online game where people were literally RPGing. Like they were actually having role playing conversations, and it was entirely like specific, and they had plot lines. I was like, this is amazing. Now, have you had much experience doing like regular RPG stuff, or is it just
Yes, I have.
okay?
I think the first game I ever got and played was Dragon Quest. It was actually titled Dragon Warrior back in the US. It was like back in the days when Square Enix, or should I say Enix, they weren't able to get the rights to Dragon Quest internationally because Tactical Study Rules, also known as TSR, already had the rights to the name Dragon Quest beforehand.
Wow. And that's the thing is like, I've seen Dragon Quest before. I haven't. I remember the older like editions of Dragon Quest and how similar they were. They reminded me of Zelda a little bit, and I was like, this is kind of like Zelda. And it had the same kind of like not side scroller necessarily, but more top view looking down, kind of like if you were playing StarCraft or the old StarCraft and the old World of Warcraft, but it was still very Zelda to me. I was like, this is Zelda. But Dragon Quest, they're still making versions of it now, but that is a game that definitely sticks with. I've heard it before many times, like from different gamers who are just like that's like a first love for many of them. And how long did you?
Yep.
How long did you stick with Dragon Quest before you, have you always just kind of maintained being a fan of it?
For quite a while, I actually played the second one and the third one. Mm-hmm. Never had a chance to play the fourth one though.
Right.
And and much to my surprise, Enix never really released any more Dragon Quest games until the seventh one to the US. It was still under the name of Dragon Warrior, and I still happen to have the original PlayStation 1 version of Dragon Warrior 7 to this day.
And that's the thing is like I remember seeing the game for 2, and the cover for Dragon Quest 2, and because I had a friend of mine who used to collect the NX games, but he was very selective. So so I go over there and he'd be like, "Don't touch my baby," but
pretty much.
And I don't blame him. Everyone has that game where they're like, "Don't do anything to it. It's special." I'm like, okay, I'll just look at it. I won't do anything to your baby. I swear to you. But he loved that game, and he was collecting them over time. He was replacing them. He was getting the different versions, from Japan. Literally every type he can get a hold of is what he was going for. I was like, okay. And I didn't ever fully play it along, but what I saw, and I played, a couple games with, just playing along, but I didn't own it. So I had to be, I was the visitor.
Pretty much.
I was just coming in to visit, and then he was like, okay, I'll take this back. But
pretty much.
Dragon Quest and Dragon Warrior, I mean, these are, it's part of that. It's a special genre of games, when you get into the broader picture of how RPGs come from that, and then it's, just kind of like morphed into what it is today. Now, did you what was I gonna say? Now, with Everquest, what other games like Everquest did you try out or look into?
I did try out Everquest too, but then, nah.
Yeah. I wasn't I loved Everquest to a point, but there were so many problems with 2 because they were having issues with their servers, and that went on for a while. And then they were having graphic issues, and then Warcraft came out, and I was like, uh-oh. And then all of a sudden there was this huge influx and change, and things just kind of got like worse. You know what I mean? As far as like the gaming experience, there was a lot of problems they were still trying to work out, which is pretty common. But it seemed like they were losing manpower. There was all these things that were going on, and I know life goes on, and you just kind of hop around. I went and played. I didn't play Warcraft for a while. I played, Dark Ages of Camelot, which was a beautiful game, by the way. But as far as
I've heard of it, but I never had a chance to play it.
it was one of those games where, it had the promise of being something so much greater, and I think it's still around. Actually, yes, it is still around. Um, I haven't played it in a long time. I guess if I did return to it, I would be very interested to see how it looks now versus how it did then. It was beautiful as far as graphics go, story, as far as the storylines and things like that. They were decent, and it was still new when I started playing it, but it definitely had reminiscence of Everquest.
You're still sounding kind of like a robot a little bit here and there.
Oh, okay. I'm not moving, so it must be the connection through Hangouts, but it should pass. I think Google has been having, because it's picking up. My site will pick up okay as far as the sound. Um,
You're still picking up well.
right.
It's just that on occasion it's coming out like a robot.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Like the way this is recording, it'll just pick up
Mm-hmm.
the way I sound right now, like in person, and then on your side it'll pick you up naturally the way you sound on the Hangouts. So should be okay,
Right.
hopefully. But if it does get bad enough, let me know, and then I'll just do a quick fix and see what it does. If it does anything, let's laugh together.
Okay.
I swear, it's such
Yeah.
a lie. Google Hangouts is the most moodiest app ever. But yeah, with Dark Ages of Camelot, though, I don't know. I think you might be interested in it just for the sake of curiosity. I think, based on the graphics I saw when it first rolled out, oh gosh, forever ago, it actually, let's see, it came out in 2001, October 9th. And it's a medieval game, obviously. But it's pretty awesome as far as graphics go. As far as storyline, I got bored at the time because it was still pretty new, and I had the attention. I'm an RPG person, so I'm like, okay, there's not a whole lot going on here. So I kind of hopped in and out for about a year, but it was a very beautiful game and a lot of I don't know. I guess I would say developing graphics that were even ahead of EverQuest at the time. Now time has since passed, and the game is still online. So I'm like, oh wow, it's been on there for a while, but it's won quite a few of awards as far as story writing goes and things like that. Obviously things have changed with that, which is great, but I did play that for a while, and I also,
Mhm.
but I don't know. What other RPG games, as far as online goes, did you kind of dabble in?
I just normally stick with EverQuest, RPG, MMORPG wise.
Right. Yeah, I hopped around a little bit because there was so many problems on every. It made me sad, honestly.
I know.
Because it was like, you get so used to your friends, and I started losing my guilds and stuff. Everyone just kind of disappeared, and then there was issues with the servers, and then people couldn't log on when we were trying to do something more simplistic, like just have a raid. Everyone would get cut off. I was like, this is terrible. So, we just ended up, everyone just went their opposite directions on it. But um, it's one of those things that you're like, okay, well, this too shall pass, and hopefully I'll return. And I did. A few years ago I did. And this is before it got sold over to a new servicer, I guess. But yeah, it was very sad. There was a lot of sadness to it, though, because I really do love
Oh yeah.
everything about it, the lore, the character development, because that was the beginning of all of it. So,
Mhm.
the other, did you ever? Let's see, I'm trying to think. Did you ever play Star Wars Galaxies?
I've heard of Star Wars Galaxies, but I never played that one.
That's one I did play for a while. I think it was a lost opportunity, to be honest. I think,
Yeah.
like they could have done so much with it, and it was just not there. It was a beautiful game, though, and but there was just not a whole lot of development long term for it. It felt kind of stale. There was a lot of
You're still sounding like a robot now.
oh, okay.
My apologies, but I figured I should bring that up.
Oh no, no worries. Um, but anyway, okay. So with Star Wars, though, uh, that was a game lost opportunity. A lot of really amazing graphics, but I don't know. In the end, it didn't. It failed.
It did pretty much.
Yeah, and that little window of time is forever gone. So I don't know. It's a sad story about that one because but uh, there was other. You try this, and I played like Black and White. I talk about it a lot because I love that game. I can't. I hope that they get it remastered. And we had talked about that the GOG site, the GOG.
Oh yeah,
Oh my gosh. Did you get an opportunity to check that out? Because that was Stig Kenobi.
I think so.
Oh man, they got you got your dragon quest on there. You have your Neverwinter Nights. Uh, you have Baldur's Gate. All
Oh
of
yeah.
love Baldur's Gate, and I played the hell out of that game. But yeah, GOG has a lot of what do you call it? A lot of uh, rare to find games that are all completely reformatted for use. So you can put them
Which is a very good thing.
absolutely, because then you have the opportunity to play them again. Because there's certain games on there I didn't think I was going to be able to play again. I thought it was over, like, and but when they get them reformatted, everything is set up for the newer systems for desktop or laptop, and you forget how, like, because I remember back in the day playing some of these and then melting down my computer at some point, and now it's like nothing to run these games. It's absolutely nothing. It's easy. These games are obviously going to be a lot more lightweight. The graphics are still there. The quality is still
Yep.
there. So yeah, but GOG is a great site for retro gaming, or you're just trying to collect certain games. It's run by the guys who created The Witcher game, and they're out of Poland. So this is a company you can buy these games online. They have it set up kind of like Steam. So you can do a little search, and then the cool thing is that with any of these games, like for example, if you and I both purchase, let's say StarCraft, and you're like, okay, let's multiplayer on this, we would be able to do that through the GOG system.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's amazing. I'm like, oh! So being able to have that interaction again, because I remember networking computers in one house, like 4 or 5, and at the most we had 6, and everybody was in a room, and everyone was on StarCraft, or everybody was on Warcraft, and we were all gaming against each other. And that was the old school networking. When you wanted to multiplayer, that's what you had to do, which is hilarious. It's such a when you think back about it, it's funny because you're like, oh man, this is what we had to do to like play on a computer game in a multiplayer setting.
Yeah.
And that was before, like, really having the internet, fully rolled out in a sense.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's a little happy memories of those times, I think. But I mean, Everquest is one of those things that has a special place in my heart too, and it never leaves you. So, what type of characters did you play in Everquest? And you still do?
I I basically play a paladin.
Okay. Well, the versatile, you can do the heal and, well, you can do everything in a sense. But
Oh yeah.
they definitely are harder in some cases, depending on.
You might have to repeat that. You sounded like a robot again.
Oh, okay. What I was saying is that some of the classes, they can either help you or they can hurt you. And the paladin is one of those harder ones to play. For a little while it was. I remember I had a paladin, and he was a moody guy. He was a moody motherfucker. I was always trying to figure out how to play him appropriately. Like, melee or tank or heal. Like, my character, I was trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing here with him? Like, what would be the best way to play that paladin? I mean, and what is your best method to play a paladin?
Probably tank. He occasionally
tanking
heals.
and then healing on like a secondary.
Yep.
Now, did you ever?
Plus, there's also the option on going just plain melee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, some of I guess it just depends on your stats at the time. And in the beginning with a paladin, you have some pretty significant weaknesses in some things, and you're like, well, that hit didn't do well.
Pretty much.
You're like, oh well, looks like I just pulled a whole lot of fun on myself. That'll be great to outrun, and then you lose some experience or whatever. But yeah, like the paladin, I remember I was playing. It was on Everquest, and we're still working on that particular paladin, and went into this one area, and there was like a lot of undead, and man, they liked my paladin so much.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was like, wait a minute, why the hell? And they would go right after me, in a group. They'd be like, oh, hello, paladin. And I thought I was doing something, like maybe I had gear on or something that was doing it, and I think I had a couple pieces, so I was trying to fix it, but it was just the idea my character was a paladin, that these creatures were targeting me because they're evil and kill the holy thing, I guess, and I was the holy grail of murder. But yeah, it's funny how the dynamics are in EverQuest, though. There was a lot of stuff I learned about. Honestly, everything I ever learned about MMORPG was from EverQuest. I know that there was Asheron's Call and stuff like that. I didn't really get into that, so I wasn't impressed with it. I don't know. Did you ever check out Asheron's Call?
Asher's Call? I don't think so.
It's a Microsoft-based game, and it was an online RPG. It came out initially in '99, so it was almost like it came out like in competition to a point with EverQuest, but it was published under Microsoft until 2004. And then after that, it just they were still running it, but they just closed it down in 2017 after all these years. And it was like an online RPG type game, and there wasn't. I mean, the graphics got better with time, but I know initially when I first played it, I wasn't very impressed with. There was a lot of people RPGing in that. I will say that there was a lot of huge dedicated fan base to Asheron's Call, and very similar to EverQuest, but not. Like EverQuest blew it out of the water. I'm not even gonna lie. And it was a beautiful. It had a lot of detail, though. If you were an RPGer, I think Asheron's Call was, in my opinion, I think it was ahead of a lot of games in that sense, and it had a deep lore to it, and it had very dedicated fans. Because you'd have to be. Let me say that. And it was a very basic interface to the game.
Oh yeah.
Nothing spectacular, but there was still a lot of stuff over time that they developed, and it had a lot of detail, like more so than I expected. But as far as the actual visualizations and atmosphere, and this is, when I looked at it, this was like early 2000s, was not entirely impressed by it, but there was definitely a lot of lore work on Asheron's Call. They had a lot of, different, what do you call it, addendums and expansions and all this type of stuff.
Yeah, expansions.
Yeah. I mean, it looked good eventually, but it just wasn't that game that, I was willing to pay money every month to play, and it was not, I didn't really like the feel. It was very, the settings I wasn't accustomed to. It was definitely not something up my alley, but I know quite a few dedicated fans of that game, and they'll tell you all about how great it is, and and they did have a very strong community of players, and when they did finally close the doors on the game in 2017, shutting it down officially, it was a very sad moment for them, and I do feel terrible for those gamers that did lose.
Dang.
Yeah, they did lose their place. That's, everyone has a gaming place that they go to, and to lose something you've loved for so long is very hard.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, So that Asher's Call though is another competitor for EverQuest. EverQuest blew it out of the water, of course. Um, but it was one of those things where I was like, I just wanted to know what the hype was about. I had heard about it, and I was like, I had a couple friends that played it, and they swore by it, and I got in there, I was not impressed. It wasn't my thing. I was like, I'm going back to EverQuest, you know. But
Yeah.
I went home. I was like, I'm gonna take my ball and go. But because but earlier we were talking about because you and I talk a lot about like random stuff. You brought up pinball machines the other day, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh my, pinball machines. Oh man, that's such a beautiful throwback to just everything glorious.
Oh yeah.
And what was the first pinball machine that you played, and when?
The first pinball machine that I ever played?
Yes, if you remember that.
That's a that's a really good question because I don't exactly remember.
I don't either, but I kind of have generalizations. Like, there's certain ones that that came out, and I was like, oh, this is a
But there was one pinball machine that I really favored playing. It was called Medieval Madness.
Ah, okay. So Medieval
Yeah.
Madness was. I think I remember this game. I'm trying to remember what it looked like. Because I just remember I picked up a lot of games. I'd go in, like, when I go into the arcades, I would pick out certain machines that I was like, okay, I'm going to play that pinball machine. I'm going to play that one. Like, the Lord of the Rings pinball machine is outstanding. X-Files pinball machine was amazing, too. Yeah, but then, so what was the name of that pinball machine one more time? The name of that?
Medieval Madness.
Medieval Madness. There we go. I was like, I'm looking it up right now. Because I'm like, did I see this before?
Yeah, it's a good thing Pinball Arcade had Medieval Madness released as one of the digitalized pinball machines until they delisted the Williams and the Bally brands, which was like, you have got to be freaking kidding me. Why would you do this?
And that's the thing is, like, pinball, I know it's not, I think it's making a comeback. I know it's a slow one, but I do believe it'll be back. I think with so many people collecting the machines, especially, I'm showing you an image right now of your Medieval Madness pinball.
Yep.
It's pretty cool with all the castle pieces on there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've never, I've now wondered if I've seen this. I think I did, but I don't know if I played this one. Because I know they were always busy.
And the best part of Medieval Madness is that every now and then, whenever you aim the ball where the dragon's at, you will actually get to hear the Mortal Kombat announcer say fatality if the knight chops the dragon's head off. Oh yeah, you'll even get to hear Dan Foden say toasty if the dragon burns the knight to a crisp.
And Medieval Madness was the first one. And then what's funny is that you had sent me which is funny, you had sent me a picture.
Link.
A picture of a going nuts.
Picture of someone playing a digitalized pinball version of Gone Nuts.
Yep. And I'm seeing when you sent it to me, I was like watching this, and it's a 40-minute video, and I think I sat through a good 20 or 30, and my husband's like, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, I'm busy, man. Like, because I forgot how like interactive, you know what I mean, how focused you can get when you're playing pinball.
Oh yeah.
I always forgot about time when I was playing, but watching it, it's just as bad. And this is ridiculous. But yeah, I was watching them play Gone Nuts, and then earlier today, because we were talking once again about pinball, you had sent me some really cool videos of a couple different ones of the.
Oh yeah.
There was the one of the Elvira.
Yep, Elvira, the Mistress of the Dark.
Yes.
The three pinball machines started out as Elvira and the Party Monsters, and the second one was Scared Stiff, and the third recent one was the House of Horrors.
And when did the House of Horror one come out? Do you know?
Looks like it just came out recently.
Oh, okay. I had no idea they're still. So House of Horrors. Oh, okay. So I see there's game
Yeah.
trailers and oh, it looks good. I want to show the picture. I'm looking at the actual. It has a haunted
And like,
house.
oh, sorry, I
Oh
didn't
no,
mean to interrupt.
it's okay. Sometimes you'll step on each other because how Hangouts connects. But I mean, it looks really good. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, and like few months back in July, they've released a sequel to the Black Knight pinball machine.
Oh,
It was called the Black Knight Sword of Rage, and I was like, oh man, I would love to actually play that pinball machine if given the chance.
and I haven't had an opportunity. I have seen someone post about this particular pinball game, the first one. Then I had
Mm.
heard. I did not know that the second, the Sword of Rage. I had no idea about that one. So
Actually, it was the third one because the first one was Black Knight, which came out in 1980, and the second one was Black Knight 2000, which came out in 1989,
okay.
and then the third one is the Sword of Rage.
And
Good thing they have the guy who voices Shao Kahn to voice the Black Knight, and we're talking about Shao Kahn back in the early Mortal Kombat games.
oh wow. And
Yeah.
I think that I like it when I just like the fact that they're keeping some of the tradition there with the pinball.
Oh yeah.
I really wish that they would it would become a bigger thing. You know what I mean? Like I'd be able to go to
Oh
a
yeah.
store and go and be able to play because I know that a lot of the local places they just don't have it. I'm showing an image of the Black Knight Sword of Rage. The way the layout of it. It's amazing the amount of
Yeah.
detail. And it's an art. It really is an art watching them put
Oh
it
yeah.
together. I know that Jack Black on his channel, Jabowski Games or whatever, I can't even pronounce things right, A for me, he actually went to a pinball arcade. And all it was pinball machines. And it was amazing. I'll have to send you that video. It was so cool. And, he's goofy, bless his heart. But, he was going through there and he was, the same excitement, that I was having watching them. But they actually showed, he was showing the guy who runs this particular game. It's like a pinball, what was it? It was a pinball museum. And it was like some of the earliest pinball machines and all this stuff. It was amazing. I was like, where is this place? But, anyway, I saw this video many months ago, and it's just something that absolutely was worth the time watching.
Oh yeah.
Very entertaining, and I wish that honestly I would have no offense to Jack, just linger over the system for a little bit. I don't need, and he did. He was playing some old classic pinball machines from God knows when. Haven't seen the light of day in so long, but really, really beautiful. Machines in there, and I think it's just it's to be appreciated, that's for sure. But yeah, the new Elvira game also too, that one you just mentioned, I'm actually going to show a photo of that really quick to those who are watching so they can that way they can
Oh yeah.
take a look at this. But this is the newest Elvira one, the House of Horrors. Beautiful looking set though. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's cool. But
We need to find a way to make Elvira biologically immortal.
I know. Do you know that she's almost 70 now?
Yep.
She does not. I mean, I'm sure, to her, she notices the age differences. And even if she had any kind of work done, I can't see it. I mean, she looks fantastic for her.
Oh yeah.
She looks almost the same to me. I guess I just don't see her aged at all. And not saying aging is bad either, but honestly, it's just like she just looks a little bit more mature. That's about it.
Oh yeah.
But she's still gorgeous, and I know people that met her at Comic Cons, and she's very gracious with fans. And I love you, Cassandra. But
Yep.
she's fantastic, and I appreciate the celebrities and geek celebrities that we do love, actually being genuinely nice people and appreciative, and
Oh yeah.
Have you had any opportunities to meet anybody at somebody that you really like? I guess I guess you're in mine and yours in our geek culture. I guess have you ever met anybody
I
that
don't think so.
No, not yet. And it's
It'd be nice if I did.
I highly recommend it. It's a little overwhelming, obviously, at first, but we went. I've met because I'm a huge X Files fan. I don't know if you're into X Files or any of that.
Oh, I used to watch. I used to watch that show every now and then back in the days.
Right, and we went to the let's see, the local one here where we live. They had because they have a Comic Con in our area, and they had the cigarette smoking man and Skinner there. So we met them, and I got an autograph for a friend of mine that lives in Arizona, and a very nice gentleman. Had a photo with them, and very nice men, very appreciative of fans, and I got drugged along a couple of times, like to meet different people, and it's nothing against anyone. I just whatever. But we went to San Antonio Comic Con last year. I want to say it was last year, yes. And that was absolutely amazing. But we went and got to meet. I met a lot of people there. I met Carol Spinney, who plays Big Bird. Jim Cummings, who does all of the Disney voices. Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and so on. Darkwing Duck. Very nice gentleman. Then we met. We already. I took my youngest son. We took him for his birthday a couple years ago to meet Charles Martinet, who does Mario's voice, and he is a.
Let's go.
Yes, and he does a little bit. He does Luigi, and he does Wario, and he does like a little bit, like very little, but he does a little bit of Yoshi. And my son lost the small son Squirrel lost his mind. And he was so excited, and it clicked. It didn't click at first what was going on to him. He just looked at me like, "What's up with this guy?" But then he realized, "Oh wow, this is Mario." Okay, and he thought it was fantastic. But we've met a lot of. I met She-Ra, the original She-Ra, Melanie Britt, the voice of She-Ra from the '80s. And
the awesome 1980s.
Yes, she is absolutely the sweetest lady. Very appreciative of fans. Very loving. Very outgoing. And honestly, I highly recommend meeting her if anyone ever has a chance. She's a lovely lady, and very gracious. And she was recovering from an injury when I met her, and I didn't realize that they were getting ready to leave, and I was like, oh, I don't want to. I can see her the next day because we were coming back the next day, and she's like, oh, no, come over here, honey. Come sit, come on over and say hi. She was so lovely. Just a lovely lady. And,
that's actually nice to know.
yes. And, because, some people, you meet them and you're like, well, that was a mistake. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's always going to be, one person, that does, bad impression, and I understand everyone's got their lives. You can't always be pleasant. We all have bad days and good days, and there are days where the squirrels know when to run. So, but I want to thank you so much, Ancient One. I know I'd like to have you on again soon. I know it's getting late there and getting late here.
I still have.
Yeah.
Oh, we could still go on for more. I mean.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't want to keep you or anything like
That's
that.
all right.
Okay, I was like, yeah, I don't want to keep you from anything because I know we had some technical and I was running late because, yay me. But yeah, as far as
yeah, I think the last time we tried, we were also talking about like which video games actually deserve a comeback that never got through due to technical difficulties on the last stream.
Yeah. Man, that's a hard question still. What would you start with, I guess, as far as being given that second opportunity with the game?
It would, if there was any video game that deserved a comeback, it would have to be Turrican, because I think Turrican franchise hasn't been finished to this day, and I think they could do actually a lot more. I mean, Turrican is one of those games where it has Halo potential,
Mm.
and people loved Turrican back in the 1990s. I mean, heck, if Factor 5 actually wanted to, they could just like go up and consider the idea of making a game called Turrican Warzone.
Right.
And so
Right.
they do it to compete against Halo Wars, and people are like, "Oh yeah!"
And that's the thing is like some of the games don't get that glory. You know,
Oh yeah,
they missed an opportunity, or they came in at the wrong time at some point, and they kind of just fell away. And for me,
yeah.
there's a I like a lot. I will say this, and I give credit to the indie game community. I think it's amazing that you can go on to like indie like looking for indie games. You can go to Steam as an example, and then there's another competitor out there for Steam too. And it's
Oh yeah.
there's plenty now, but being able to have these independent games that have been created that otherwise we wouldn't be seeing, being given
Oh
a
yeah.
platform because they had GoFundmes or Indiegogos or whatever to get it off the ground. And I mean I have played. What was the recent one I played? I played the hell out of it. When was it? Back in March and April, I played My Time in Portia, and that game. Oh man, I have a problem. But I was like, oh my god! I played it from start to finish like 3 times because I wanted to get you start to get a little obsessive with okay, I want to make sure that I've seen everything I need to see, you know,
Right.
and did I catch this? Did I get this quest done? And I did a lot of that. Drove myself a little nuts. No pun intended. You know, but there was some, there was some like really amazing graphics in that game, and I've thought about writing a review about it because it was it's one of those games that I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting it because I like games like I have my girl stuff. I call it girl games, but
Yup.
I like the Harvest Moon. I liked Animal Crossing. I remember playing Animal Crossing when I first started out. But with
Oh
this
yeah.
one, My Time in Portia I think honestly, it's a very interesting game because it's not just as simple harvesting and doing crops. It's more like you have to build items to get certain things done. You have to develop your farm, and you can, just you're learning to live off the land essentially. But I like that idea of it. And then you have to work on relationships and interactions. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
very cool. And the graphics are by far some of the best I've seen as far as quality. It was a Kickstarter type program that it's out of China. It's a beautiful game, and
Interesting.
they've done a great job with it. And it's not what I expected. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what the hell I was expecting, but I thought, well, if anything, this will be a lot of fun. I'll see how it looks, and I played this thing a lot.
What was this? What was this game you're speaking about again?
My Time at Portia, and it's
My
spelled
time at Porsche.
Portia is Portia or Portia, whatever you want to call it. I say Portia. It's a habit. Um,
Right.
Portia, but the graphics are beautiful. It's you kind of there's certain things I have complaints about. Like I'd like this to be available as a character, and that is available. But the story is fun. I had fun playing it. I'll be honest with you, like once I've beat a game and I feel like I don't want to play it again, it's not a good game.
Pretty much.
If I, you know what I mean?
This game is bull crap.
Right,
I'm just gonna like throw it away. Whoopie dee.
right. But what I would say with that one though, they have a beautiful 3D engine. The sounds and the effects and the graphics in it are beautiful. Like I think I mean, I have a lot of screenshots and stuff tucked away from when I was playing, and there are some of the most beautiful settings I think in the game I've ever seen in any game. Unexpectedly, I guess when I first
Mm.
went into playing it, I just wasn't. I don't know what I was expecting, but I guess a big part of me thought, well, this is something different to try, and you can personalize your character. You can develop their personality however you wish. I wish that was a little
Oh
bit.
yeah.
I think I was kind of hoping that'd be more RPG in a sense, but you build relationships though. That's the big one, and
Oh yeah.
it is a game that I think it doesn't get enough discussion, and I loved it. I've been playing it since, geez, like I had heard about it. It came out late last year, I think. It's actually it's going to the Wii, or excuse me, Nintendo Wii U.
Switch.
Yes, it's going to be going to Switch. It got released. I think it's already released on Nintendo. I'm not sure. It might be coming out later this year, but beautiful, beautiful game. I highly recommend it just for the experience of it. It's not what you expect in the.
I would have to get. I would have to get myself a Nintendo Switch at some point.
Well, it's good for PC.
Oh wait, it's already out for other gaming systems.
Yes. I played it on PC. And honestly, it was awesome. And I had a couple friends I was telling friends about it, and they were picking it up for different systems. I know one. She did. Was it? I think she had it on Xbox. I don't know if that's right or not, but I think she got it for Xbox, and she loved it. And also a couple guy friends I have, because it's your character, in order to get stuff done, right? In other games, you have to go get 6 eggs, go give it to a neighbor, that kind of crap,
Pretty much.
You got 6 eggs, now you got a farm, But in this one, you actually have to build things. So you have to build contraptions, and I have some videos. I'll have to see if I can find them, or get on there and play some gameplay with my time at Porsche, because or Portilla, whatever. Because it's very immersive. Yeah, there's the word, immersive, and there's so many different things that you're doing to build items and collect items. And my character, the first time I played, I was a hoarder, so I didn't have any problems getting a lot of the stuff done, because I was just getting everything. I was killing everything. I was looting everybody. I'm like, I don't care. And I would do a lot of repeated quests and stuff, because I knew, I was like, this will be valuable, and I had time to kill. And I played that game nonstop for like a couple. I think I beat it the first month, and then I replayed it again, and then I played it a third. And you do have like an actual main storyline. I would love to see more storyline or expansions come to the game, and I know that they're still adding experiences to the game. So
that's actually a good thing.
Yes. And they are still, working on it and developing it and adding new stuff. So I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful game. It honestly is. I was very impressed with it. I was not expecting that. It's cartoonish, yes, but the scenery, and I would love to see an expansion for it. I would want it right now, honestly. If they were like, hey, we're going to do a Kickstarter to do this, I'd be, well, actually, they don't need to do a Kickstarter. They got the money now, I'll tell you that. If they were saying tomorrow they were going to do it, I would already buy it. Like, I would go out of my way to get an expansion, because it was amazing. So, yeah. But
I'm just hoping that the upcoming expansion for EverQuest actually does better than the recent one, because the recent expansion that came out was really difficult to even try to pass tier 1 unless you had some raid geared individuals. And that's something and the moment I actually noticed that, I was like, there's no way they can't. Many people who aren't so raid geared are not gonna pass this. This is ridiculous. I mean, this next expansion that's coming out soon, it better do good, if not better than good. Because if I take notice that people are having problems trying to pass tier 1 content on the expansion they will release, then that is going to bring about a buttload of heydays.
Yep. Because in the end, if these expansions don't mesh well, or oh my god, like I remember, I don't remember what game this was in. I just remember being like, so many people were pissed. It was like it was dead. They did an expansion. It was, they did some updates, whatever. and then for this expansion, the expansion comes out, goes up. None of the canon matches anything. No idea what the hell we're doing. You know, like it made no sense. It was almost like a whole nother game within the game. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like,
Which is really ridiculous.
correct. Because if you're gonna do an expansion, that means you're extending a storyline of some type.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't do it, and I was very confused by that. I was like, well, this isn't gonna end well. And it didn't. They ended up fixing it finally and just kind of taking a step back from it. But it was.
Yeah, some cases you just gotta go back to the drawing board.
Mm-hmm. But Everquest is a very detailed and visually appealing game. And
Oh yeah.
it always has that magic to it when you first log in and you see like your first sunset, or you're, you know, on a like right. I like the fact you can take like the, you know, the dragons around and stuff like that. I love
Yep.
And I remember the first time I got on the dragon, I was like, "What's this?" I'm like, "Amazing," you know, because I remember running everywhere prior, you know, in some of those areas. There was no dragons in some of the areas in the. This is our first EverQuest, and you're just running,
Yeah.
running through a field, hoping that nothing attacks you, or you like, you know, aggro something you weren't expecting. Those are always fun memories. Getting chased down. Oh god.
Having some random guy like just aggro an entire town and just have everybody
Oh,
chase him
yes.
just because.
Oh yeah, like he's somehow, you know.
Too bad most of the NPC. Too bad you can't do that with most of the NPC non-playable characters nowadays.
Yeah, the NPCs. Like I remember like pickpocketing all of the guards. Like and I would get killed because I was pickpocketing the guards because I was trying to get my rogue, you know, up with pickpocketing skills and shit. So I kept.
Yeah.
And of course, then I would get like rage, right? And so I'd walk through town later on, and I'd hear people like yelling at me. You know, like in the game, you'd see like them, and then they're raising their fist at you. And I was like, oh my, I guess I better stop messing with the guards over here. So I actually went, you know, I went into some more of like the not so neutral areas, messing with the other side. Where I was looting all the guards, but I got my pickpocketing up, but I died. Like so many times. And of course, you know, if you die near the guard, I've told you this story, but it's still sad. It's like died near the guard, and you have to loot your body after you die. For those who, you know, don't play RPG, I had to go loot.
Pretty much.
And because the moment he sees me, he kills me again, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't do this. So I had to have friends aggro the guard away.
Oh yeah.
So I could go and loot my body and then run. You know. It's because I couldn't go stealth yet. I was too low to go stealth. And so I was like, that's great. Yeah. So they got the guard away so I could go, and they were aggroing him. And because one of my friends had like a necromancer or something like that on his other, like his bad account, you know, the evil. So he brought him over and just killed the guard. And I was like, hey, just grabbed my body and ran. I was like, I was gone.
Oh, your voice is acting robotic again.
Oh, it might be the connection on your end there. It might be just acting up. There's not a whole lot that can be done if it's still doing that on that side. It's just...
Unfortunately.
It sucks because it's... Yeah, I hear everything okay. Obviously, you're going to hear me robo for a little bit. I know that it's irritating.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll have to do... well, first off, I need to find out where my characters are. That's number one, so I can figure out... Because I want to go back in there. I do want to go back in game for a while. When I do that, I'll figure out what server they put me on, or if I need to go ahead and ask them to move me, because that was just...
Yep.
I mean, I don't know what the hell, and you have to let me know what server you're on, and then we'll go from there.
All right.
Because that way we can get into trouble together, I guess. No, I won't get us killed by any means.
Start acting like us. Start stealing ice cubes from the guards.
Yes, throwing stuff at them. Oh my god. So
Or
many
just
great memories never quite.
Constantly beg from the guards until one of them attacks you.
Oh yeah, you just had aggroing and kind of like poking the bear, and then they all turn
Yep.
on you. I remember so many times we'd be sitting in like the city, like I don't know, just hanging out, and we would see somebody from like the bad, you know, from the bad side basically, right? for
Yep.
come running through, and there would be a swarm of everybody in the city chasing them through, like all of the guards. They were aggroing everybody on them. And I don't know what they were doing. I think it was just like a capture the flag kind of thing, you know? And they were just going for it, and they would be slaughtered. So you'd go into like the town square, and you see like maybe several dead corpses. And the guards are just standing there. Because you know how they hang out for a little bit. They don't go back right away in most cases. Like the most of them did, but there were still like 4 guards that were standing there near the bodies, like waiting. I was like, wow. And so like the people try to come back and get their stuff. I'm like, why did you carry so much crap on your body? You know, like why didn't you bank it? You know. So because they couldn't get their bodies, so they were like, I guess they had to have like help. So they had to have guilds come in, kill all the guards. And that way they could get in and get their bodies. I was like, wow. And that was like 2 hours later.
Yep.
Because we were just sitting there talking in the pub or whatever, and we start hearing, get out of here. You know, you're an animal. You know, that kind of craziness. And we go outside and we're watching, and there's this huge swarm. It was just like the most amazing thing ever of seeing this giant guild of 50 plus people come flushing into this, you know, courtyard areas and shit. It was so good.
Yup.
And I'm like, so my friend's like, what's going on? I'm like, take a look out here. And she's like, I'm not going out there. I'm like, I don't want to deal with this because we run a PvP server. And she's like, no, not doing it. I'm like, all right, it's cool. We won't go outside. It's totally fine. But yeah.
Oh, don't worry. We'll bribe you. We'll bribe you to do it. Oh, yeah. We'll give you millions of platinum.
Oh yeah. Promises of platinum. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Just go out there. I'll give you some plat. It's the biggest lies in Everquest ever. I'll give you plat. Don't worry, it'll be cool. It's like, remember when people used to port? You know, they would do the teleporting at the, you'd have to get someone to teleport. So you'd have to go to the druid circle. And,
Yep.
Oh my god. And you'd have to, you know, you're all setting out, you're yelling. And then you go to announce to like the announce channel or whatever, but you're like kind of like, you know, I need a, you know, TP here, blah blah blah, and then they're like
TP.
Yeah, 10 plat, 20 plat, 50 plat. Oh my god, one of my friends made so much platinum just doing TP all the time, teleportation all day long to get around. And I would be like, where are you? And it would be like 10 or, you know, maybe a good 20 minutes. I'd be like, where are you? She'd tell me where she was at. And then about less than that, maybe 15 minutes later, she's back over here. I'm like, God, how much? Are you gonna be okay? she's like, I'm making money. I'm like, no joke. But
What's the money?
And I mean, things got better over time with the teleporting and everything, because now they had other options. But I remember those days because I was the one begging for a teleport somewhere. I'm like, I wasn't the jerk that did it though. I wasn't the jerk one. I wasn't the obnoxious one that should be put in the corner though. You know those ones. They're like whining. Can someone give me a free port?
Yeah.
And they would whine and cry.
And the person gets teleported to the point of hate and gets clobbered.
Yeah. Because I remember, this is a funny side story, but like I was, God, where the hell was I? I was near a druid circle, and this dude, I had heard him earlier whining. And so this guy's like, oh yeah, I'll teleport you. And he ends up not wanting to teleport him, so this, you know, because the kid was being a jerk about something. And the kid challenged the guy to a duel. I'm like, oh, that's going to end well. And of course I'm watching because I have to. And the kid dies. He absolutely just gets slaughtered. And so the guy's standing there. And he's
wow.
The guy, he comes back. You know, picks up his body, loots his stuff, and he's all mad now. He's like, well, you shouldn't have even. And he's like, I'm gonna go. And he just teleports and leaves the kid there, gone.
Yup.
I was like, oh my.
I'm being a fool.
It was hilarious. He's like, well, you could have grouped me, and he was like mad, raging. That was great. But yeah, silliness in games is silly.
Yeah, Mr. T was there. He'd be like, I paid a fool.
Oh yeah. That's how magical that was. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Those days, yeah. There were so many. I mean, it's still there. That's the thing. There's still a lot of that in Everquest, and I think World of Warcraft is an imposter. And EverQuest has always been that magical beginning, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
And I know there's a lot of other things out there, and there people do tabletop RPG with cards, or books and so on, like Dungeons and Dragons and so on.
Yep.
Um,
Card games like Magic the Gathering and
yep.
the D&D card game version called Spellfire,
Yep.
which used to be around until the late 1990s.
Oh wow, I do remember Spellfire. I never played
Yeah.
it, but I did see I'd see the books or the packages and stuff in the store. And I didn't know a lot of people that played that. Magic, that's a whole other story, but that's a cult. No, kidding.
It is a cult. It is a cult.
It's a
Wait, no, 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 no. That's not how it. Oh, oh, oh. Well, too late. We've been discovered. Now we gotta run.
yep.
So look.
It's just like it's just amazing how much. Like I was just talking to somebody, I think it was Shellback, about how much money people will put into like Magic the Gathering.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea that people were spending hundreds and hundreds. I mean, the packs are expensive, but I mean, this is like it becomes an investment, you know.
Probably.
And, I mean, I knew a lot of people that were into it, and they spent quite a bit of money. I just didn't. I guess I didn't fully appreciate how devoted they were. We they would drag me to like that store, Wizards of the Coast, and
Yep.
oh
The
my
people who
god,
bought out TSR.
yes, and they had all the game, like the cards, the trading games and stuff in there. And I just recently that my squirrel friend that sent me all the speaking of comics, my squirrel friend that sent me the Marvel cards. I mean, I spent a lot of time in the store hunting for those. So I was seeing Magic. Over time, I started seeing them in the store. I didn't know what the hell they were. I was like, "What is this?" And somebody explained it to me. It was kind of like they have stats and all these things. And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's
Yep.
cool." And wasn't my thing. I'm like, maybe one day, but that one day hasn't come yet. Very terrible, but there's some amazing tabletop gaming and things like that. But when it comes back to it, though, I go right back to the, I guess, multiplayer online games. Um, Being able to be a part of an RPG, especially, it's just a different experience. And I made lifetime friends out of the games, and friends too that like I still every now and then we'll chit chat back and forth a little bit. And I have a friend, I talk to him quite often, and he and I met on Star Wars Galaxies, and
Oh yeah.
and he got onto Warcraft, and he got real deep into Warcraft, and he was like, yeah, I needed to stop because it became like his life, you know. And I never got into it around the same time he did because I was on another game. So you know how it goes. And
Oh yeah.
he's been trying to get me to play the Division, and I can't. I really want to like it. It's just not. I'm not into shooters. So I mean, there's a lot of strategy. The game, what do you call it? The story is very good, but I'm not into shooters like that. I like the fantasy based stuff. I do like Elder Scrolls Online. That is absolutely beautiful game. Um, I still highly recommend that game because the storyline. I didn't play. Now keep in mind, I didn't play Skyrim before. I don't know. Did you ever play Skyrim?
Yes, I have actually.
Okay. And did you ever get to play the online Elder Scrolls?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I would. I think it's free to play. Now, I would recommend playing it at least once, or if not more. It's beautiful. It's it's a really beautiful game, and
And then Elder Scrolls Online finally has hybrids.
it's true. They're in the Elder Scrolls hiding behind a tree. You'll be walking along and be rapidly attacked. That might be me.
Oh no.
But yeah, like it's a gorgeous game, and Elder Scrolls definitely did, I would say, a step forward in some things with online, RPG gaming. There's a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
The stories are beautiful. Um, the graphics are, I would say, some of the best I've seen in a long time
Oh yeah.
in an RPG like game. But the thing that Elder Scrolls Online tried to do was they when they first rolled it out, they were promoting this mega server because they have one for like the United States, and then they have one for European and so on. And that way, if you tell your friend, okay, Ancient One, I'll meet you online, on Elder Scrolls or ESO, and in like 2 hours or whatever, we'd meet up. We'd all be on the same server. It wouldn't matter. So we wouldn't have to be like, hey, are you on you know, are you here? Are you on this server? The most disappointing thing is when your friend's like, I'm on this server and you're on another one. So it's really because then either they have to pay to get the character moved, or you have to do that, or if you're lucky, you might get a really wonderful, wonderful mod who has a magical ability to do things for free. But yeah, Elder Scrolls Online was. I haven't played that in a while either. I take breaks because after a while I'm like, I need to calm down. Because honestly, I can get very deep into these games, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna burn myself out.
Pretty much.
I think everyone does. Everyone goes through gaming burnouts, and like, for me, I guess I don't know. How do you handle gaming burning out? Like, is it something you've experienced, and how do you? Handle that?
I just simply listen to something relaxing, take a few deep breaths, maybe play some of our games on whatever gaming system I'm playing on, or even go out for a walk, those sort of things.
Right. And I remember I had to take a break on ESO for like when I was regularly playing it for a week because I was having an issue with this particular quest.
Oh yeah.
I was so mad, and I don't even know what the hell I was mad about, but I was just irritated, and I was like, you know what, I need to not do this right now.
Oh yeah.
I need to go do something else. I played, I love The Sims, so I was playing The Sims at the time. I've been a devoted Sim player for.
And if you had that Gone Nuts pinball machine, you probably would
Oh,
play that.
yes. I would have. I would have just been like, where are you at? I'm going to beat this game until it explodes. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to take the hint of Gone Nuts. That's what's going to happen. But it's definitely, I think with certain games they can like just set you off and you're like, I'm done. But like when you're doing your EverQuest example, do you like to group or do you like solo play? Small groups, big groups.
It's a bit of both. There are moments where I like to solo, and there are moments where I like to group, and there are moments where we like to do like a bit of rating on the older content every now and then to once in a while.
And like, how big of are you in a guild?
Excuse me. Yes.
It's okay. That yawn came in and it was like, hello, let's hang out. That sounds like the yawn that, my eldest squirrel. He gets these yawns that don't sound like a yawn. It's like that, where it's really lengthy and you're like, pain? Nope, not pain. That's a yawn. Okay.
Actually, to tell you the truth, I actually run a guild.
Well, that's badass. How long have you? How long have you been running your guild?
For years.
That's amazing. How many people do you have? I know that numbers vary, but.
It varies depending on depends on the day.
That's true.
There's a lot or there's a few. Yeah, that sort of thing.
I know that when I was on before, the guild that we were in, it fell apart. Like.
Ouch.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly everything that was going on. Inner guild angst. I don't know. But I had come in towards like right before they had, the guild was disbanded completely. And it was sad because, a lot of us were trying to like rebuild it and it just didn't happen. So, yeah, it's a lot of work to run a guild to a point, but at the same time, it's not entirely, crazy difficult. So, well, I don't want to ask too many questions, but what's the name of your guild? What did you name it? I have to ask. I have to. You know I do.
Oh gosh. We'll keep that private for now.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of guild people that run guilds are like, I don't need to give my identity, and that's totally understood. Because yeah, the when I was playing before, people I ended up meeting, like getting to know in like real life, right? You would
Yeah.
never know that they were online doing that, you know.
Hmm.
So it's like a different persona. And so do you, when you're playing, are you full RPG, or how do you, I guess, how do you play? What is your best method? Do you just, in and out a little bit of RPG, or is it full time?
It varies depending. There are moments where I just go full art role playing gaming, and there are moments where I decide to say, hey, why not play this other game for once for fun giggles,
Mm-hmm.
soak up some achievements.
Right. You get the game face on at that point. You're like, okay, I'm still that person, but I got this to do. Yeah, I had a couple guilds that were only RPG, and that was crazy. And it was a lot of weird drama and stuff. I was like, what is this? I left. And I did solo for a long time, and it was always fun. I did a lot of crazier shit when I was solo. And meaning I would go into areas where I was not supposed to be in, and that's my favorite thing to do. Is when I'm not at a high enough level, but I'm like, let's see what shenanigans I can get to, without getting killed. And
Hmm.
you get your success stories, and you're like, yes. And you actually feel like a satisfaction of getting something when you're a lower level that you're not supposed to get. Does that make sense? They're like, how did you get that? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. Nobody gave it to me because it's one of those
Yeah, I have some
binds on you.
overbluffs.
Right. You just find the right formulas, and I know that they're always like, trying to get those bugs out when you're out running around. But, they don't want people getting things that are too high for them, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I'm like, okay. Because I had that happen a couple of things. Like, I had items that, or not items I had in possession, but I went to get the item, and what I looted was not what I could have had. I was like, oh, man. And the drop, it was like a guaranteed drop at a certain level, and I'm like, so I get this low level crap. I was so mad. I'm like, oh, I could have had something, because you know how some weapons, there's a little loophole on them, where, you can use them for your level, even though it goes up to, like those beautiful, I don't know what the hell they call them in Everquest now, but they're like weapons that basically, let's say you're level 35, that weapon will be from 35 as far as ability, being able to use it, 35 to like some crazy amount, like 50.
Hmm.
And it was like but they ended up like nerfing all of the stats on it, and it was sad. It was a sad day.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. But anyway, I do want to thank you though for hanging out with me and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Next time we do this, we should also talk about like which games deserve a comeback and
yes.
whatnot.
Mhm. We'll have to
Because
do
there's
that.
like plenty of games that deserve to have that comeback. This besides Turrican.
Mhm. We'll have to do a show called like great the games that would or great comeback games, something like that. Because
Yeah.
there's some game I'll have to look. Cause now I have to go and because I was thinking about that question. And I'm like, there are games that I can't even think of right now, but I've talked about before, where I've wanted to have that game be brought back or a rendition of it. But like, just it doesn't need to be like exactly the same, but keep with the sense of the game, the spirit of the game.
Oh yeah. As long as it keeps with the spirit of the game, then that's what matters. So.
Absolutely, because when you mess with that too much, you know what I mean. When they try to get all fancy and a little too dramatic in some ways, it
Yeah.
ruins the game. You're
That's
like,
when it really falls apart, and
Yeah.
people are like, "Why? Why would you do this?"
And then you
And
hear
and the
Twitter. You go on
develop,
Twitter. Everyone's crying. You're like, they're hashtagging. They're like, this isn't fair. This isn't right to canon. You know, and it's like, yeah, I know. If a game's that bad, I'm sorry, they kind of deserve it in that way. The game
yeah,
is that bad. Like, I know at one point they were talking about Mortal Kombat. And there was people that loved like the more extreme versions of it, and then they had the more like PC, family-friendly versions for like Nintendo. And there were people defending the
right,
Nintendo one over like the other versions, the originals. But that is what it is, unfortunately. But
pretty
yeah,
much.
we'll have to do a show about
It's
the
like,
history.
why are you doing this? I don't know. I don't know.
Money.
I don't
Maybe.
even know why we are doing this to begin with.
You know what? They're doing it for the plat.
Pretty much. They've been soaking up platinum since day one.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, they've been.
There's the plot twist right there. The conspiracy is that plat's real.
Pretty much.
It's real. It's just they just say it's something else, but they're actually exchanging plat behind closed doors on some of these.
Pretty much.
It's true. There's some weird. It's happening, but. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Hopefully I'll have this up and cleaned up by Sunday,
Right.
and put everything together and be able to put it online, and things will be good to go. But yeah, I wanted to thank you so much though for coming and hanging out.
Anytime, Mad Squirrel.
And we will have to get together again and have a lengthier talk about games that deserve a second chance. And actually,
Right.
I'll talk to Stig too about that. Because I know that he's very much the same way. He's into the same genres that we are. It's that RPG. He got into Dungeons and Dragons big time as far as gaming goes and classic games. And
Oh yeah.
oh yeah. But one of the things I wanted to ask you before we go is if you could do, I don't know if you're able to, but do the voice you did earlier from it surprised me. I wasn't expecting it. It was the first voice, and
Hold up a moment here.
oh,
You mean this one?
it sounds like Yzma from Emperor's New Groove when she was a kid.
Yeah.
You sound just like her.
Wow.
I lost it.
Too bad I can't imitate this voice correctly unless I have the proper sound card.
Yep. It sounds good though. When you first turned it on, I was like, that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, this is Yzma. Like when she was the cat. So yeah, it cracks me up every time. It makes me laugh. I laughed so the first time was even more hilarious. That's awesome.
I think very much.
But yeah, thank you so much, Ancient One, for coming on. And
Anytime, Mad
it's
Squirrel.
been awesome having you. And we'll have to do a show where we're talking more about the games we would like back and so on and so forth. But
Oh yeah.
it'd be a lot of fun, especially just kind of going down that road. And I'll talk to Stig too and see if he'd be interested to hop like the three of us together and just talk.
Would be shocking if we also brought Pop Culture PV along with us so we can pull off Mickey Mouse throughout the entire live stream.
He is a cartoon, and I love PV. He's gonna be. I'm gonna be doing one of these with him hopefully next week sometime. I haven't had the chance to sit down yet and like get the schedule going on that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm gonna be sitting down with PV sometime next week, so we'll see. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on and doing everything that you've done. And I want to thank the audience for hanging out with us too. And I'll see you next time in another edition of Between Two Nuts.